1st New Jersey Brigade, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th Infantry, and Hexamer's Battery, September 14, 1862. Late in the afternoon, the brigade advanced from the fields north and west of Burkittsville, charged up the mountain, carried this point, and followed the enemy to the west foot of the mountain. Loss in the brigade: 40 killed, 134 wounded. That is the War Correspondence Memorial behind us. The Battle of South Mountain. In September 1862, after the Second Battle of Manassas, General Robert E. Lee led his victorious Confederates on their first invasion of the North. At Frederick, Maryland, he boldly divided his army. 3 columns, number 1, were to surround and capture the Federal garrison at Harper's Ferry, and then reunite with Lee and Longstreet, number 2, at Boonesboro and Hagerstown, and continue north. General George McClellan's strong Union Army, number 3, was hot on Lee's heels, threatening to overrun his divided units. On September 14, Lee was forced to order all available troops around Boonesboro back to defend the passes over South Mountain. Greatly outnumbered, the Confederates desperately held off Union forces until the evening of the 14th, and then withdrew towards Sharpsburg. On September 15th, the Federals poured through the passes, but Lee had gained time to reunite his army. On the 17th, the armies clashed in the bloody Battle of Antietam. The story of the battle is told at Antietam National Battlefield Site, Sharpsburg, Maryland. The battle for Fox's Gap. Quote, "Hell is empty and all the devils are here." Antietam Campaign, 1862. As Confederate General D.H. Hill's division struggled to hold the gaps of South Mountain on September 14, 1862, the fighting here at Fox's Gap raged throughout the day. At about 9 a.m., General Jesse L. Reno's Corps attacked Confederate General Samuel Garland's lines approximately 3/4 of a mile south of here, and began pushing the men north toward Fox's Gap. Sometime around mid-morning, Garland fell mortally wounded, and the Confederates scattered into the gap. The fighting died down at midday as both sides delivered more men to the contest. Hill sent 2 regiments of General George B. Anderson's brigade to replace Garland's scattered forces. Union General Jacob D. Cox posted his regiment south of here along the edge of Daniel Wise's field and waited for the remainder of Reno's corps to reinforce him. As more units arrived, Hill sent General Thomas F. Drayton's and Colonel George T. Anderson's brigades along the Wood Road to attack the Federals. They formed in the Sharpsburg Road and attacked about 4 p.m. By this time, the rest of Reno's corps had pulled itself up onto the mountain. As Drayton's men moved through Wise's open field, well-aimed Union volleys struck them from behind stone walls. The Federals then counterattacked, and some Georgia troops sheltering in the sunken road soon found themselves trapped. Outnumbered 4-1 and suffering 51% casualties, Drayton's brigade broke and fled down the mountain. Fox's Gap was in Union hands by 5:30 p.m. Death of 2 generals. Quote, "Hello, Sam, I'm dead." Antietam Campaign, 1862. The fight for Fox's Gap on September 14, 1862 claimed the lives of 2 generals, one from each side. Confederate General Samuel Garland, a Lynchburg, Virginia native, attended the Virginia Military Institute at Lexington and later obtained his law degree. Married in 1856, he suffered tragedy early in the war when both of his wife and 4-year-old son died in an influenza epidemic. Grief-stricken, he left Lynchburg as captain of the Lynchburg Home Guard, excelled during the Peninsula Campaign and 7 days' battles, and soon attained a general's rank. Charged with defending Fox's Gap, he fell mortally wounded by a bullet through his chest while rallying his men about 3/4 of a mile south of here. As evening fell and the Confederates fell back through the gap and off to the north, Union General Jesse L. Reno rode by here and into the field across from Wise's cabin to investigate what he believed was a delay in the push for Turner's Gap. Just then, General John Bell Hood's Texans arrived on the field and fired the final Confederate volley, mortally wounding Reno. Carried on a stretcher to his friend General Samuel D. Sturgis's headquarters, Reno called to him, "Hello, Sam, I'm dead." A few minutes later, he died. The 1st Union Corps commander killed during the war. His monument is the second oldest one erected for the Maryland campaign. Building and dedicating this first monument to the memory of George Washington. Repaired and altered many times over 800 years by patriotic citizens, it was finally restored to its original design in 1934 through 1936 by the Civilian Conservation Corps, or the CCC. This monument, used by the Union Army during the Civil War as a signal station and its surrounding land, was bought by the Washington County Historical Society in 1922 and presented to the state of Maryland for park development in 1934. This massive structure was designed to be
America. More locks. You know that has something to do with suicide prevention. Hey,